With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
These kids ain't the same anymore. And you know what's behind it all? Rock and roll. That music is turning the kids into a bunch of sex-hungry, beer-drinking, road-racing werewolves.
An outlaw team on a fast track to nowhere.
The world's not really accommodating to people who want to do things differently.
In a town where you play by the rules.
Nobody makes their own rules in my town.
Or you're playing with fire.
You sure you want to be going out with someone like Dude?
Yes.
I'll be sure to get her back as late as I can.
From Robert Rodriguez, director of the acclaimed El Mariachi. Join David Arquette, Helen Shaver, and William Sadler as 50s cool meets 90s style in a small town heading for a big showdown. Roadracers.
We're not talking about actors. We mean a real monster.
I brought her back. She'll live and I'll get her another body.
I know they're going to kiss me, but don't let anyone see me like that. Please, Doctor, help me!
Biologically speaking, it's of primary importance that man should want to mate. Hey, that...
You don't get all your kicks from surfing, do you?
We want to be free to ride our machines without being hassled by the man. And we want to get loaded.
You think you're going to make a slave of the world? I'll see you in hell first!
The American International Podcast.
Are you ready?
This is the American International Podcast. I'm Jeff Markin.
I'm Cheryl Lightfoot.
And we're your American International Podcasters. And we're starting a new series this week where we're going to be looking at the Rebel Highway series that aired on Showtime in 1994, starting with Episode 1, Roadracers.
The Rebel Highway series was commissioned by Showtime, and titles from 10 American International Pictures movies were selected. 10 directors were selected, and they were given free rein to do whatever they wanted with the movie. They didn't have to follow a plot. They just had to do something that went with the title.
And they would all be period films that took place in the times that the original films were released. So think late 1950s.
The first episode, Roadracers, was directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by him and his friend Tommy Nix, and produced by Lou Arkoff, son of Sam, David Geiler, Deborah Hill, and Willie Kuttner.
Roadracers stars David Arquette as Dude, Salma Hayek as Donna, John Hawkes as Nixer, Jason Wiles as Teddy, William Sadler as Sarge, O'Neill Compton as JT, Tammy Brady Conrad as Julie, Mark Lowenthal as Rookie.
It also stars Christian Klemash as Crony number 1, Aaron Vaughn as Crony number 2, Karen Landry as Donna's mom, Lance Gault as Donna's dad, Boti Bliss as Julie's friend, Tommy Nix as drummer, Gina Marie as Wanda, Johnny Reno as rock and roller, and Kevin McCarthy as Miles.
The movie opens with a police chase. David Arquette as Dude is on the run.
This is set to rockabilly music, which provides the tempo for the entire movie. It's not just the soundtrack, it's the pacing as well. It's fast, it's urgent, and there are a lot of quick cuts in this movie. Everything just happens one after another. There's not a lot of time to sit around and think about it.
Fast and Furious, you might say?
You could say that, yeah.
As the car chase continues, we find ourselves in a club where a band is playing. Salma Hayek as Donna is there, and she's looking a little annoyed. This isn't her kind of music.
Also, she's checking her watch. Dude is late, but he is on the way.
He's got to elude that police car first. So what he does is he turns around on the highway, turns off his lights, and waits. As the police car approaches him, he turns on his lights, and they veer off the road to avoid hitting him and drive right into a billboard that says, "You're in God's country, don't drive like hell through it."
Very apt. We read a little bit of Robert Rodriguez's commentary on how he made this movie. That's an actual sign he saw somewhere when he was driving to New Mexico. So they crash into the sign. Having eluded the cops, Dude pulls into the parking lot of the club and goes inside.
Donna tells him he's late.
She only came here because he likes this music, not her. But I think they make up because they go listen to the music. They leave the bar stools and go stand in the crowd with everybody else. And they seem to be enjoying it.
Well, Dude certainly is. This is some pretty hardcore rockabilly that they're playing. There's a guy on sax. And the way that it's cut, it's more Fast and Furious.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that in this movie. That's just how Robert Rodriguez makes movies.
That's kind of his style, yeah. He shoots with an editor's eye, so he knows how he's going to edit it, so he just shoots to accommodate that rather than worrying about all the extra stuff.
Getting all the coverage and all the setups. And
he gets his coverage quickly. He doesn't do
multiple takes over and over and over again.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing, actually, the way his mind works.
He was made to make movies. Well, they make out a little bit on the dance floor, and then they leave. Donna needs to get home because she's been late home before, and her parents gave her a hard time, and she doesn't want to deal with that again.
So they climb into the car, and they head back home. Then we find ourselves at a movie theater. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is featured on the marquee, but there's also posters for Reform Schoolgirl and Motorcycle Gang, and in the box office, lobby cards for Teenage Caveman, all AIP films.
So there's that nod there.
Except for Invasion of the Body Snatchers, of course.
Well, no, but that movie comes up a lot during this movie. It's an outdoor kiosk to sell tickets, and there's a girl standing inside. We'll later find out her name is Wanda. And another character, who is Nixer, sneaks up to the kiosk, crouches down in front of it, and then all of a sudden stands straight up and then licks the glass on the kiosk.
He runs his tongue up the window.
Who else has touched that glass? That's really disgusting.
Causing Wanda to scream.
I would too. And this is apparently his way of hitting on her, because he asked her to a movie and she says no. And then he asks her again and she says no. And she says no 5 times. And finally he gives up because Dude and Donna drive by. So he runs and jumps in their car.
He immediately starts telling them about the movie that he just saw, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This movie has kind of given Nixer an existential crisis.
Yeah, people, they just go to sleep and they change and they're not who they were before. How do you deal with that? Could it be happening now?
While this is going on, a car full of ruffians drives up next to them.
Also, 2 girls sit on the back seat of the car. They're not in the back seat. They're sitting on the back of the car because everything's convertible. Dude drives a convertible and these guys drive a convertible.
And their leader is Teddy Leather.
I love that name. There's 5 people in this new car. They start looking at Donna, Dude, and Nixer. And then they start taunting them. The girls in back are racist towards Donna. She's Salma Hayek. She's Mexican. They're all white. So they have to throw in some racist taunts there. And then there's a bit of like sexual threatening harassment back and forth between the 2 of them.
And is it spoken that they're going to race?
It's just like an unspoken thing. When you pull up to your rival at an intersection, you're going to race. That's just what happens.
So Dude lights a cigarette and then he flicks it over toward the car and it lands in the back of Julie's hair. Julie is one of the girls sitting in the back and she doesn't notice it.
No, it kind of nestles in a curl on, obviously she's wearing a wig.
So the light changes, the cars take off, and Julie's hair is very much aflame.
But she doesn't notice. How does she not notice?
She doesn't notice, and the girl next to her friend looks at her like 2 or 3 times before she notices.
She tries to put it out by slapping Julie's face. She doesn't do anything to the hair. And eventually she throws well, yeah. Eventually she throws her sweater on Julie's face again. It gets extinguished somehow.
Well, the guys realize that there's a fire in their car. So Teddy stops, which means Dude wins the race.
And that's already 1 strike against him as far as Teddy's concerned. But also, he set his girl's hair on fire. Teddy is Julie's boyfriend. Also, her brother is one of the other guys who are just called cronies. So they all are interrelated.
So Dude won the race, and Donna says, this is really romantic. She's not being totally honest here. She's a little sarcastic.
Yeah, she expected a date with her boyfriend, and now she's got threatened by some guys. It's not really what she considers a fun date.
Back with Teddy and his group, they now need to get even with Dude for what he did to Julie's hair. So Teddy peels out again. So the girls are sitting on the back of the car and they both roll out backwards.
And hit the pavement. So Teddy turns his car around. They're feeling kind of bad for what they just did. They look at the girls. The girls look back at them and they grimly shake their heads and turn around to walk home without these idiot guys that they're with.
Well, Julie's walking home without much hair.
No, patches of what's left of her hair cover her scalp.
So Dude takes Donna home and her parents are there to meet her.
Well, they're there to bust them.
Well, yeah, meet her at the door because
she's late.
She's late. And you get the feeling they don't really approve of Dude.
Well, they don't.
He's not wearing a tie.
I don't know how they know he's a thug if he's not wearing a suit jacket and a tie.
But he kisses her goodbye.
With tongue, and only tongue, right in front of them. I don't know if that changed their opinion of him at all.
Yeah, he's trying to make an impression, I think.
Oh, yeah, not a good one.
And she goes inside, and he goes back out to where Nixer is waiting, and Nixer says, y'all hold hands.
They leave, and then in the next scene, we see that dude sleeps in his jeans and nothing else with his guitar on his chest.
He also lives in a garage.
Yeah, but I've seen people who make an extra bedroom out of a garage.
I didn't say it was unusual. I just said it was of note.
True. And that's probably why he styles his hair with 10W30. We see him getting ready for the day. First thing he does is light a cigarette, of course. He puts on a 45 of rockabilly, goes to the mirror, squirts some motor oil on his hair, and makes it a pompadour, and then he's good to go.
Now we're going to spend some time with those policemen who drove into the sign the night before.
They're going to be dude's other nemesis in this movie. We have Sarge and the rookie. That's their names. They are sitting there waiting for speeders. Sarge is waxing rhapsodic about pigs in a blanket. He's got one in his pocket. And he's got one for Rookie's pocket as well.
Sarge explains that his mama makes one for him every day.
And it's perfection.
Rookie goes to take a bite, and Sarge makes him wait. He needs to smell it first. He needs to use all of his senses.
You got to look at it. You got to taste it. You got to touch it. You got to smell it. Anyway, it's weird, but apparently, again, based on a real conversation that Robert Rodriguez had with Tommy when they were tooling around. Sarge cautions Rookie about these kids today and their love of rock and roll. They're just not like kids used to be.
Just then, dude drives by,
proving his point.
So they pursue.
They recognize him as the guy who caused them to wreck last night.
We'll also find out that they have a family history as well.
Dude's father, who we know nothing about, and we'll find out virtually nothing more. Just that he wasn't a good dude.
This time, dude immediately pulls over. Sarge goes over to the driver's side, and the rookie goes over to the passenger side. Sarge says, that was quite a stunt you pulled last night. Dude turns to Rookie and says, what's he been eating?
Smells like a barnyard.
And the rookie's like, hey, his mom made that for him.
Which is the wrong thing to say. You don't cool somebody up by talking about how his mom makes him hot dogs. But he does it again and again. Like, don't mess with this guy's mama. He's obviously a mama's boy. And, well, that's not going to win him any points with dude.
Anyway, this is where we find out that Sarge had run dude's father out of town, and he plans to do the same thing with dude. He's just waiting for the right opportunity.
It's also where we find out that Sarge is Teddy Leather's father, because dude tells him to look after his own son rather than harassing dude.
Before letting him go, Sarge warns him that this is his town and nobody else makes the rules in his town.
No, and he punches him in the stomach a couple times and then tells him to have a good one.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Next location is JT's Soda Shop.
It's a diner. The Greasy Spoon.
The jukebox is playing and kids are dancing. Dude is at the counter having a cup of something. Nixer is there eating a sandwich and still talking about Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Dude wants to know when it plays tonight. Maybe he's going to go. But then Nixer spills his coffee all over Dude. So that conversation never goes anywhere.
They ask JT for a refill and he's going to oblige.
And some rags so that they can clean up. They just need about 30 or so.
And Nixer says he'd like a refill too, and JT turns around and just tells him to shut up.
And then Teddy Leather comes in with his two cronies. They go everywhere together. Teddy is literally screaming at Dude about what he did to his girlfriend.
You burnt my girlfriend's hair off. Now she's wearing a wig.
Dude offers to spit shine her dome, and that really sets Teddy off.
They pull out knives. There's going to be a fight, but JT puts a stop to that.
He grabs his cleaver and says, I don't care if you kill each other. You're just not going to do it in my diner.
Dude sits back down and apologizes. Teddy leans over and tells Dude to meet him at the bluff at 9 o'clock. But one of his cronies reminds Teddy that he was supposed to take Julie roller skating at 9.
Yeah, it's to make up for her hair getting burnt off, which never would have happened if he hadn't pulled up next to Dude. He's Julie's brother, so he's looking out for her. So Teddy and his gang decide to leave, but on the way out, Teddy spots a bottle of ketchup on another customer's table, picks it up, and hurls it with full force at the back of Dude's head, where it shatters.
There's a big chunk of glass hanging out of his hair.
And I think now Dude is pissed.
So what does he do? Apparently he calls Donna because we're with Donna when she answers the phone and it's Dude calling.
Well, she calls him Duty.
Yeah, he says, don't call me that.
And Donna has bad news. Her parents want to invite Dude over for dinner. Uh-oh.
She also wants to know when she's going to see him again. He asked her if she wants to go roller skating tonight.
About 9 o'clock? She loves this idea because she doesn't know why he's really going there.
So now it's after 9 and we find ourselves in the restroom of the roller rink.
This is the men's room. Dude is at the mirror, slathering some more oily gunk into his hair, more than you could possibly think one head of hair could hold.
I think it's soap.
No, it's got to be oily something.
Yeah, I guess it's not liquid soap. They didn't have liquid soap in those days.
But it's green, so I can see why you would think that.
Teddy and his cronies are in there as well.
They don't interact in there, though.
Then we venture into the women's room, where Julie is adjusting her new wig.
Oh, man, it looks bad. I don't feel bad for her because she was awful to Donna, and she kind of deserves it. And this is where Donna gets her revenge, because she comes in, goes up to the mirror where they're standing, and just starts brushing and flaunting her luxurious, long, real hair at them. And you can tell that they aren't happy to see her. But they have nothing to say.
To describe this wig, I want you to go back and remember Mrs. Beasley on Family Affair.
Yeah, it's her hair. She got her actual head of hair.
That was the doll that Buffy would carry around?
Yeah, I remember. It's tight curls of an unnatural flaxen color. And this just looks terrible on Julie. It doesn't even fit her head. It's just sort of perched there.
So Donna goes back out to the rink and joins Dude, who's already skating. Julie goes out there too. She's skating. So is Teddy.
While they're skating, Donna has realized what Dude is really there for. And though she's not happy about it, she still tries to skate with him.
Over the PA, they announce that the next is a couples dance. He says the song is Let Me Put Your Head on My Wall by Hazel Atkins, but it's actually called No More Hot Dogs.
I guess they had to make some sort of hair joke because Nixer dedicates it to Julie. So I guess there had to be something head related to the title. And there's a lot of laughing in the song. And every time Nixer passes Julie on the rink, it's at a point in the song where there's laughter and he laughs at her. But anyways, it's time for the rumble on skates.
Yep, Teddy and his boys start chasing Dude. During this time, Julie takes a fall.
It's hard not to feel bad for her, but I don't.
Well, she doesn't get up right away, so some of this she brought on herself.
Yeah, but I think she's just so despondent that she just lies there. But anyway, the three guys are chasing Dude. Donna has gone her own way, and Dude gets a great idea. Or maybe this is Dude's idea all along. He bends over with his head between his legs and drags his greasy frickin' hair on the rink, creating an oil slick.
Teddy slides into it, loses control, grabs Julie's wig as he crashes into the side of the rink.
The other two crash as well, but poor Julie's just sitting there with her weird, sparse hair sticking out. At the end of the scene, we see Nixer swinging by Julie one more time to cackle at her again. His revenge is complete.
Next scene, we have Sarge confronting Teddy. Apparently, Sarge has put Teddy up to harassing Dude because Teddy is able to do things that Sarge, as an officer of the law, can't necessarily do himself.
Oh, wow. I didn't catch that at all. My take on the scene was Sarge is berating Teddy for letting Dude get the better of him. But I didn't realize that this was a plan on his part because it seems so coincidental that they just ended up next to each other, which is how this all began.
And then once that incident happened, it became personal. So then Teddy had his own vendetta.
Right.
So it didn't matter that he was sent after him in the first place.
Well, Sarge is kind of scum because he's giving Teddy a hard time for getting humiliated by Dude, but he himself got humiliated by Dude, even though he says that he would never let anybody get one up on him. So he's a liar.
And that's not something you want to say out loud in a movie.
What?
Nobody would ever get one up on me because...
Oh, no, you're setting up the finale.
You're setting it, yeah.
Yeah. And Teddy looks a bit weepy at his dad's harsh treatment of him, but his dad tells him to be a man for once. Teddy vows that he's going to show his dad.
So Dude drives Donna out past the city limits.
And the God's Country sign.
So they can make out. But the radio isn't cooperating. They're not playing any good songs.
Nope, you can't get good songs on the radio these days. It's all sock hop stuff.
So Donna has an inspiration. Dude has a guitar in the backseat, and she grabs it, hands it to him, and tells him to play something.
And he does. And he's pretty good.
He does. He plays a pretty mean blues riff.
But he's just riffing away on his guitar. Dude says that he likes Link Ray. Donna asks if Link Ray is popular, and Dude says no, and that's why he's cool. But Donna thinks that if you're good, you're going to be popular. So if you're not popular, you're not good.
Donna climbs on top of him, tells him to play something sweet.
He has to put the guitar behind his head in order to make out with her here. But he keeps playing.
We cut away to see Sarge and Rookie are not that far away watching. Rookie says that his playing ain't half bad.
Sarge doesn't want to hear that. But they don't do anything. Well, at least not in this scene.
Next day, we see Dude backing out of the driveway right into Sarge's car.
Yeah, they had just pulled up right as he was leaving. They weren't close enough to be hit by him, were they?
He backed into him.
Oh, okay. He didn't get very far before they were right behind him. So they didn't have to get that close to him, I don't think.
They jump out of the car. Sarge says, "You hit me." "No, sir. When I hit you, you'll know it."
Sarge lifts dude's wallet out of his pocket and opens it. He looks at his driver's license. This is kind of fun looking at a driver's license from the 50s. They look nothing like they do today. There's no photograph. Dude's name is there, an address, and he's scratched out his last name. Apparently he's ashamed to be associated with his dad, so he doesn't want to go by his last name. But it's Delaney. You can't tell that from what it looks like on the driver's license.
It looks like Defussy.
Defussy. But that's what Sarge calls him, Dude Delaney. So now we know his name.
So Sarge is telling Dude about how he ran his father out of town. He's going to do the same. He's emptying the contents of Dude's wallet and flicking it into his face, but he keeps the cash. He's going to hold on to that for him.
It looks like it's enough to make a difference. And now we're at the bar where Dude is listening as Johnny, Reno, and his band are trying to play, but they're having some problems.
They lost their guitar player.
And Johnny can play guitar, but he's a saxophonist.
But he's convinced he can do both.
And there's a funny scene where he tries to do just that. He's trying to flip-flop between the guitar and the sax. And they both occupy the same space when you're playing them. So he has to throw one on his back and pull the other one forward and then flip around, and it just doesn't work.
But it looks like it does.
Yeah, but he says it doesn't.
It's difficult to do, but it seemed to be pulling it off. It sounded fine.
Yeah, it did sound fine. All the music in this movie sounds great. Well, except for one song. To me, it seemed like this was a setup to get Dude to go get his guitar and offer to join the band, but that doesn't happen. That's what I was expecting to happen.
No, he's too cool for that. He can't do that. We should mention this seems to be like late afternoon maybe, so this is normal bar hours.
No, they're practicing.
And Dude is the only patron in there at the moment. Then we see Donna and Wanda walking down the street and talking. Wanda is telling her about Nixer coming by to the box office the other night.
Yeah, she makes it sound worse than it was. So did they get together after? I don't know. Kind of seemed like maybe he tried and she sent him on his way. Doesn't matter because Teddy and his leather gang drive up.
His leather gang? Teddy Leather and the cronies.
Teddy and his gang immediately start harassing Donna and Wanda. Wanda for being tall and Donna for being Mexican and for also having white parents, which they don't understand. But they make very impolite comments about it. And then they get out of the car and go up to Donna, and it looks like some real trouble is going to happen.
We go back to the bar where the rock and roller decides that playing sax and guitar at the same time is just too difficult. So he loses the sax for now. Meanwhile, Dude blows cigarette rings.
And sucks them back into his mouth, which is David Arquette's special talent, I guess. And then we come back to Donna and Wanda, where Teddy has grabbed Donna, and we'll find out later that he tries to kiss her. And I guess he succeeds at it, too. Against her will, of course.
Back at the bar, the band is still playing, but Dude isn't going to sit for it anymore, and he leaves. And where he goes is back to JT's, and he and Nixer are sitting at the counter again. Dude asks Nixer about his misadventures the other night.
And then we find out why the director has him drinking tea in this scene, so that he can make a crude teabagging joke referencing what Nixer should do with Wanda.
Just then Donna comes in, says she needs to talk to Dude, but Teddy comes in right behind her. Teddy kicks the jukebox just at the end of the song, and the music stops.
Donna turns to Dude and warns him not to do anything stupid, and he sends her away. But unfortunately, Teddy grabs her, and then Donna changes her mind. Dude can get as stupid as he wants now. And then she leaves.
Then Teddy and his gang turn to face Dude, and they've all got their knives out.
Yeah, they switch on their blades.
But JT comes out from the back to save the day, and Sarge and Rookie walk in at the same time. So Teddy and his cronies put their knives away. Sarge and Teddy share a look, and Teddy and his cronies leave.
Dude asks JT how much he owes him, and JT tells him it's on the house. Sarge warns JT not to give away his business, but JT tells him to mind his own.
As Dude's walking out, he notices Rock and Roller sitting at a booth. He sits down across from him. He says, "I just wanted to say I like what you do. How'd you do it? The world isn't accommodating to people who are different." Rock and Roller just shrugs and says, "I just started playing."
And then offers Dude a smoke. He tells Dude that they've signed with a record company and they're going to go on the road. He knows that Dude plays guitar and invites him to audition for the band. If he gets picked, he's going to make good money. And Dude wants to know if it's enough for 2 people. He reminds Dude that the audition is 2 nights from tonight at 9 o'clock.
In the next scene, Nixer is standing beside Dude's car, dropping a knife into the ground between his feet. He's talking about the potential record contract and the idea of fame and fortune. While he's doing this, Dude is putting together a turntable in the back of his car. Nixer says that he better not say anything until all this is settled. And does he need a manager? He'd kind of like to go with him if he's leaving town.
Now we're at Donna's house, and her parents are trying to talk Donna out of attaching herself to Dude. He's not going to be her future.
But she tells them that he's very talented and he's going to get a record contract and be rich and famous. And if that happens, then they get her blessing. But if it doesn't, she'd better be prepared to make other plans. Then Dude goes to pick up Donna, listening to the music they want to hear, since they have that turntable in the back now.
Yeah, Donna's standing up in the car, dancing along.
He asked her what she wants to do tonight, and what she wants to do is go to the movies.
Yep, he finally lets her choose what to do. And of course, there's only one movie to go to, and that's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
And of course, Nixer is there a few rows ahead of them. It's his 15th time.
I thought he said 50th. We get to see some of the important parts of the movie, and we also see a special guest in the audience.
Well, Donna's fallen asleep on Dude's shoulder. Dude looks at her, and he looks a little paranoid. And Nixer looks a little paranoid. And there's another person in the theater who looks a little paranoid. And that third person looks a lot like one of the people on the screen.
It sure does. Is that just a coincidence?
I think it's an orchestrated coincidence. It's a Kevin McCarthy cameo.
That's great. That's a real coup for this movie.
Next day, Dude and Donna are sitting on a bench in the park or something. Dude says there's a lot about him, particularly about his father, that she doesn't know. But he doesn't want her to know.
And then, of course, who else? It's Teddy, Leather, and his gang. They come up and challenge Dude to a rumble tonight at 9 o'clock. This conflicts with another appointment on Dude's calendar.
Dude says he'll beat him later. He's got a date tonight at 9. With who? Her? Says Teddy, and he grabs her.
He also comes back with the racial insults, which are never far from his lips.
So Dude agrees to the fight at 9.
Well, he threatens to burn Donna's hair. He has a lighter, and he's holding it right next to Donna's hair. So it's a pretty serious threat. And, of course, Dude responds.
He agrees to the fight at 9. They leave just as Nixer comes in. He asks what that was all about. And Dude shrugs. Teddy wants to dance. So now we're at JT's again. Nixer is telling JT about Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
JT absorbs this lesson, and he has one for Dude and Nixer. Timing is everything. Don't wait until it's too late to do what you need to do. Kevin McCarthy found out that was a bad idea.
Now we're back at the park, and there are lots of pigeons, and they're there because Rookie is sharing crumbs from his pig in a blanket with them.
Well, he can't be in the car because Sarge is using it to berate his son.
This is where they tell us that he's having Teddy take care of Dude for him.
Is he doing that now, or has that been the plan all along? Because I thought he was just saying, now I want you to take care of Dude, and that's why he gives him the gun. Like, really take care of him.
No, I think he was doing this all along because Teddy says that he's not doing this because his father has some beef with Dude's old man. He's got his own reasons now.
I still think that my theory could apply under those circumstances because of everything that's happened before to lead up to this point.
It could, but then he's just picking on him for no reason, whereas he's on a mission.
I think he started picking on him for no reason because he's an asshole, and now he's picking on him because he's got a mission.
That's not inconceivable.
He engineered this conflict, and now he's going to see it through. And his dad's involved because of the beef he has with Dude and Dude's old man. And his dad is going to take it up to not 11, but like 29.
So the gist of the conversation is that whatever happens, make sure that this gun that Sarge gives to his son goes into Dude's cold, dead hand. Back at JT's, Donna runs in to tell Dude that she's heard that the band that he likes so much is looking for a guitar player, and they already have a record contract. So this could be a good opportunity for Dude.
He doesn't say that he knows already. And also, he doesn't act excited. He makes some excuse about not being able to leave his mom, and that doesn't really fly with Donna, who begs him to skip the Rumble tonight and go to the club to audition. He tells her he will.
So now we're back in Dude's garage. He's greasing up his hair again. Nixer comes in. He's ready to go to the club, but Dude says he's going to the Rumble. He says his father never faced anything and was run out of town, so Dude isn't going to run from Teddy, from his crooked father, or from anybody. We cut to the park where Teddy and his cronies are waiting for Dude to arrive. Then back to the garage. Dude grabs a bottle of something from the refrigerator, and Nixer asks him to throw him one. Dude laughs, "You couldn't catch crabs in a whorehouse." He throws it anyway, and Nixer ducks. The bottle smashes against the wall and onto an amplifier. It still works kind of. Dude tested it out. It's just now plays really, really loud. Also, the clock on the wall says it's 10:15.
Yeah, he's missed both 9 o'clock appointments.
And Teddy's still waiting in the park, but he's getting tired of waiting.
Since Dude is a no-show, they decide to go to him. They're going to drive around till they find him.
Now we're back in the garage, and Nixer points out that it's now 10:45. He says, "I know you hate this town. I know you hate Teddy. I do too. But you love your music, so don't fight for what you hate. Fight for what you love. So what are you going to do?" Dude says he's going to go to the club and kick some ass.
In that order. So Dude arrives at the club. He's outside. He sees the poster for the Ramblers. That's the band he wants to join. And he goes inside really excited. We see that Donna's already there. But Dude's excitement immediately turns to horror as he hears the song that these guys are playing. this isn't punk rockabilly. This is mainstream sock hop music. And they're dressed in suits.
It's kind of Buddy Holly-esque.
Yeah, but it's not dude-esque.
It's not. He's repulsed.
But he sees Donna over there enjoying it. She's mouthing the lyrics and clapping and dancing. This is her music. And I don't think that goes over well with Dude either.
It doesn't. He loses it. He dives onto the stage and tackles Rock and Roller. And the funny thing is, the music keeps playing.
Oh, wow. How does that happen? Nixer notices too. He starts looking around. He sees a closet. He goes and kicks the door down, and sure enough, there's a record playing. That's what they're mouthing along to. Now Nixer's inflamed, and he grabs a stand-up bass, and then he brings it down on the bassist's back. And all the while, the drummer's playing like nothing bad has happened yet. And that's Tommy Nix, the co-writer of the movie, as the drummer. It's a really funny scene.
Donna takes Donna outside and punches the wall. And she starts berating him. That was our chance.
But Dude doesn't see it that way. When Donna says, "You've ruined my dreams," Dude's mad because these are Dude's dreams that just got trashed, not Donna's. He tells Donna she needs to ride her own tide, and then he takes off.
He stops at a light and takes the opportunity to light a cigarette. And Teddy Leather and the cronies pull up next to him and start wailing him with bottles.
They break beer bottles on his head, and his scalp starts bleeding pretty heavily, as it will do. Scalp wounds are notoriously bloody. Teddy speeds off, but then his car crashes into something. So he decides that he's going to take care of Dude permanently and starts shooting at him. And he actually wings him one time.
Yeah, he hits Dude in the shoulder.
And this kind of surprises the two cronies. Like, they didn't know Teddy was going to go this far.
Dude goes home and grabs a sawed-off shotgun.
He had mentioned earlier that he had a BB gun, but it's a little more serious than that.
We cut back to Teddy trying to start his car. His friends are laughing at him.
They're mocking him. And also Julie is walking there for some reason. She's coming up to them.
Teddy doesn't like being mocked, so he shoots one of the cronies, the one that happens to be Julie's brother.
And then looks at the other one, who starts running away, arms flapping. And he gets to the end of the block, and then Teddy shoots him as well, and he goes down. And this is when Dude drives up.
Dude stands in front of the car with a shotgun in his hand, and Teddy pulls the trigger of his gun, but he's out of bullets. He wasted most of them trying to shoot Dude as he was driving away.
And then on his friends.
So Dude pulls out that shotgun and shoots Teddy square in the chest.
Yeah, he blows a dinner plate-sized hole in the center of him. He goes down, and Julie's right there. Dude turns to walk away. Then we hear the noise of Julie just clicking the empty chamber at Dude over and over and over again. And then he turns back and walks over to her. He just takes her wig off her head and walks away with it. He drops it in front of his car. And then he leaves, her looking shell-shocked.
We cut back to JT's, where the rookie is eating a corn dog.
And buying a chili dog for his partner. And they talk about that for a good length of time.
Sarge rushes in and tells Rookie to get in the car. They've got to get moving. Apparently a call just came in about all the shooting that's been going on.
Well, he must know that it's his son at this point. Because he's serious and he's furious. And Rookie's just standing there, but your dog. And it's difficult for Sarge to convince him that this is urgent. But he does.
Back with Dude, he's driving around, and Nixer runs up, jumps into the back of the car, asks him where he's going. He says he's looking for Donna. Nixer says that there was some trouble with Teddy. Word is he's dead. Then he asks Dude to take him with him wherever he's going. But Dude tells him it's time for Nixer to start chasing his own tail.
And then Dude spots Donna, who's just sitting on the bumper of a car. Donna sees that Dude has a gun, and she wants to know what she can do to help him with his vengeance. But there's no one who can help Dude. And Donna tells him that she can't go with him. Dude thinks that it's better that she doesn't.
They share a kiss goodbye. He drives off.
And Donna's just a fading image in his rearview mirror, as he predicted.
He continues driving. He continues smoking.
His head continues bleeding into his eyes. And I guess there's one final nemesis to deal with here.
And Sarge and Rookie catch up to him and are chasing him. They pull up next to him. Sarge pulls out a shotgun. Dude grabs his and shoots out their tire.
And their car careens off the road, and it almost hits that God's Country sign, but instead they swerve into a huge oak tree, and then the car immolates.
Dude changes the record in the back seat, and then he drives into the next chapter of his life.
He's finally free from this bummer town. And that's the end.
You're listening to the American International Podcast, where we're discussing Rebel Highway Episode 1, Roadracers from 1994.
Roadracers was filmed in uptown Whittier, California, and I can't verify this, but apparently someplace called Central Perk, but that's the coffee shop in Friends, so I don't know.
It originally aired July 22nd, 1994.
Yeah, it was the first episode in the series. And as far as taglines go, the only one I could find is from the director of Desperado and From Dusk Till Dawn.
That's going to be a video title because both of those movies were made after this one.
I know. But they didn't have a special tagline for this like they did some of the other movies.
The only feature that Robert Rodriguez had made up to this time was his independent feature, El Mariachi, which was done in his very Fast and Furious style, and he ran into resistance with his Hollywood crew on Roadracers, most notably the director of photography. He discusses these conflicts in the now out-of-print book Roadracers, The Making of a Degenerate Hot Rod Flick.
We got copies, so we read some of that, and we've been talking about some of the things that he did. And there's an interesting co-feature to the movie where he does his 10-minute film school and talks about how he would do very fast setups and try to get as many in per day. He got 78 in one day, and it's kind of an amazing thing that he does. It's really impressive to watch him work.
Yeah, if you watch the behind-the-scenes video, he's always like on some sort of a track on a skateboard or something with wheels, and he's wheeling around on the ground so he can get from place to place quickly and get these shots from these low angles. And he shoots the way he's going to edit it, and he knows just what he needs. It's already in his head.
No slates.
He doesn't need slates. He knows what it's going to look like when he's done, and he just shoots what he needs to get the final product.
That is so cool.
And I could see how that could be frustrating to a director of photography because that's basically his job.
He used the same crew that all the other directors used for these episodes. So he didn't get to choose his crew. And he's also using a Hollywood cast for the first time, whereas in El Mariachi, they were just friends of his. He wrote the script with Tommy Nix, and they're saying the lines, and he's thinking, oh, these are real actors. I've got to give them real lines. I don't know. He had to write the script really fast because he had to replace director Wes Craven, who left the Rebel Highway project when Wes Craven's new Nightmare was greenlit. According to Susan King of the LA Times, who spoke with Rodriguez, the producers called him in December to ask if he wanted to do the film, and they said, could you write a script in 10 days? We've got to start shooting in January. Rodriguez says, I thought this would be cool. It's a hot rod flick. You have to write it in 10 days. Otherwise, you're thinking too much.
Rodriguez told the LA Times, we shot this one mariachi style. The crew couldn't believe it. We averaged about 50 setups a day. One day we got like 78 setups in 12 hours. I grabbed the camera and started shooting the shots I needed. Fortunately, I can operate the camera, so they couldn't tell me to slow down.
And of the actors, he said, they were always on set. They didn't need 20 takes to warm up to get into character because they were always in character on the first take.
Because the film is heavy on action, Rodriguez storyboarded all those scenes to save time on the set. We had 12 days and $1 million. I thought it was all the money in the world, he recalls. I wrote all of these big action scenes. I had all my actors on roller skates.
They weren't on roller skates all the time, but they were on roller skates definitely for a big part of it, especially the skating rink rumble. And like you said, he was on wheels himself for most of it. And you can tell this movie is very kinetic. There's always something propelling it forward. There are a few scenes where they just sit around and talk, but the action is very intense. And we have a little information on what other people thought of this movie. John J. O'Connor of the New York Times wrote, from square parents to ominous rumbles, Roadracers doesn't miss a cliche in the depiction of rebels without a cause. Skillfully done, though.
Chris Woolman of the Los Angeles Times called it a giddily shameless paean to misspent youth. Lewis Black of the Austin Chronicle called it the perfect Roger Corman movie, as made by Rodriguez.
Nathan Rabin of the AV Club wrote, Rodriguez is clearly a virtuoso working at the top of his form, and the film's lurid, over-the-top histrionics suit his talents nicely. And Richard Corliss of Time magazine called Roadracers a hyperkinetic assault on good manners.
Ken Tucker of Entertainment Weekly called Roadracers an oddly off-balance teen film with a terrific performance from David Arquette. He's in the upcoming feature Airheads. As a sensitive hood who wants to be a rockabilly star. Most of the time, Roadracers plays it straight as a variation on the James Dean classic Rebel Without a Cause. Periodically, though, it slips into loony surrealism.
R. Emmett Sweeney said, the most stylized entry in the series, Rodriguez has no interest in interrogating the period, only in refining his style. Rodriguez institutes a rhythmic editing style set up in the opening where he intercuts a rockabilly band in a car chase, matching the downbeat with screeching turns. This tempo is maintained throughout, accessorized by swaggering slow motion and low-angle anti-hero close-ups.
Patricia Brennan of the Washington Post called Roadracers a 50s story complete with tight sweaters and leather jackets, skating rinks and hot rods, sullen sneers and greasy kid stuff, and more cigarettes than a Bogart flick. It's about a kid named Dude who wants to play in a rock and roll band, the Mexican-born girl who loves him, the gang leader who's jealous, and the vengeful cop who ran his father out of town. In short, it's a hoot.
Variety's Todd Everett wrote, Rodriguez has a terrific visual sense and one of the fastest editing knives in the business, punctuating the intentionally generic original story with several striking set pieces, including a dazzler in a roller skating rink. Script has more than its share of good lines, and soundtrack is rife with obscure old and old-sounding rock and roll records.
So, Cheryl, this is the first of 10 episodes of Rebel Highway we'll be looking at on the podcast. What'd you think of this one?
Here's a little insider information. It's based on an original AIP movie called Roadracers, and we just did an episode for that movie today. So we watched the original Roadracers and this 1994 remake of sorts on the same day. And I got to tell you, the original Roadracers disappointed both of us greatly, whereas I think we both had a good time watching this movie. It's a stark contrast. It's nothing like the original movie. The storyline's different. That was about real race car drivers driving real races and a lot of family drama. This one was just a fun ode to 50s youth, and I loved it.
It was a lot of fun, and I think a lot of it is just because of the energy that it has, and a lot of that is just Robert Rodriguez and his style.
I've seen a bunch of his movies, not as many as you have probably, but he's a very fun director to watch, and he definitely brings that here. And we really needed it after watching the original Roadracers. We needed a good movie, palate cleanser.
The only thing that I might see as a negative in this film is Teddy Leather's hair seems really long for the time. He's got kind of a mullet.
Yeah, he's got a mullet. His hair is about as long as mine, and mine hits my shoulders. It's very curly, so I'm a little jealous. He's got nicer hair than I do. He's got nicer hair than Julie does, that's for sure. So yeah, that doesn't seem extremely period. We don't see a whole lot in this movie, but what we do see looks period authentic, if you don't think about it too hard.
If you don't think about it too hard, it might look a little cartoony. When they first show the girls in the back of the car, they're wearing these really bright green and pink sweaters. So it's a little cliche, but the whole thing's cliche. We've got David Arquette in his black leather jacket, smoking all the time and driving around. And
with an attitude.
Yeah.
He's like if Fonzie was really a hood. I enjoyed everyone's performance in this movie. And it was fun seeing Kevin McCarthy do a little cameo as they were watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is a terrific movie. So we got to see a really good movie inside another good movie.
And they got to watch that movie sitting near Kevin McCarthy. I sat near Kevin McCarthy in a theater once, but I didn't get to watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I sat closer than they did, though. But I watched an episode of The Twilight Zone that he was in.
Did you talk to him?
Yes, I did.
Because in the closing credits, they do some cut scenes, outtakes. And then there's one scene where Nixer actually does go talk to Kevin McCarthy. And Kevin McCarthy is just sort of like trying to lead him into realizing that he's the guy from the movie. And just as Nixer does, he's gone. Kevin McCarthy is gone. The outtakes were really funny in this movie. So if you do watch it, watch all the way to the end.
And this is the only episode from Rebel Highway that has had an HD release. Miramax released a Blu-ray, and all of the releases and streaming is in standard def. Well, it might be streaming in high def since it's available, but the others are only available in standard def.
Well, 1994, what are you going to do?
Well, you're shot in film. You can easily upgrade it, but there has to be a monetary reason to do that.
Yeah.
And I guess Robert Rodriguez was hot enough that it was worth the investment.
He's the only director for the series that was not old enough to have watched the movies originally. Everyone else is sort of the elder statesman type directors. Joe Dante is going to do one of these. Whereas Robert Rodriguez was just this hot young director that nobody knew a whole lot about. And he got picked for this movie. And it's really lucky they did pick him. I don't know if everyone else is going to be able to bring the energy that he's bringing.
I don't know that they can today.
That's fair.
It's hard to find a movie that has the excitement of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Oh, come on. I thought you were going to say From Dusk Till Dawn. That movie has vampires and bare feet. I love the music in this. I know that the music was really important to Rodriguez. And in the book, he does go on about that a bit, where he's looking for a certain tone. He's not just picking 50s music. He's picking this rebellious rockabilly stuff that wasn't on mainstream radio at the time. Didn't sell a lot of records, but these guys were artists who went their own way, regardless of whether it was popular. And they do mention that in the movie. They talk about Link Wray. And he's one of the inspirations that Rodriguez found for the music for this.
Right, and that would be recurring because that song would also be used in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Well, like I said, it was really important to him. Link Wray plays a song called The Shadow Knows in this, a song called Genocide, a song called Ace of Spades, a song called Rumble. So he is on the soundtrack a lot. And then the one song that made it to the soundtrack for the entire Rebel Highway series was Race with the Devil, a Gene Vincent song that was sung by Charlie Sexton here.
What do you think about casting David Arquette in this role?
Well, initially I was kind of worried about how he would be in this movie because I know him as a real goofy guy. He's Dewey in the Scream movies. It's not someone I think of when I think of a rebel and a hoodlum and a tough guy, but I think he pulls it off here. He has that sort of gritty attitude. He doesn't really have the look that you'd expect because he's got kind of this friendly face, but I think he pulls it off attitude-wise.
I think that David Arquette is unsung brilliant actor.
Oh, wow.
Actually, he's more of a performance artist. So he can take a character and become that character. So I think this was just natural for him. Because if you look at some of the things he's done, it's all so different. You've got Dewey in the Scream movies. The Entertainment Weekly mentioned he was going to be in the upcoming Airheads. And he plays a really goofy guy in that. Different than Dewey, because this guy's just really a goofball.
And that's how I think of him. I don't know why that is, but that is my impression of him is he's silly and he's fun. Not that he's a bad actor or anything, but just the characters he plays are normally tend to be on the lovable goof side. And here he's the rebellious, willing to kill a cop guy. And I was pleasantly surprised by him here.
I wasn't surprised. I figured he could pull that off. He was an eight-legged freaks.
Did he kill any cops in that movie? Of course, he was on Friends in kind of Mr. Courtney Cox. At least he was for a while.
He was for a while. The whole cast of Friends was an Arquette for a day.
They had a group wedding?
No, when Courtney Cox changed her billing to Courtney Cox Arquette, they put Arquette at the end of everybody's name in the opening of that episode.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, he was in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
He's been in so many things. So it really isn't fair of me to pigeonhole him as one thing or another. I'm just going by what I've seen. Which
my point is he's done all these movies and they're all very, very different characters. You don't see him do the same thing twice, except when he's Dewey in 5 or 6 movies.
So like 7 or 8 now, isn't it?
Well,
wait,
no,
he died. But
But
that's what actors are supposed to do. They're supposed to be so flexible that they can just inhabit a role. Obviously, a lot of them can't, Ryan Reynolds, but David Arquette does fly under the radar like that. So I can see why you think that, and you're right. And this was Salma Hayek's first movie. I didn't realize that until we watched the commentary.
She had worked in Mexico. She hadn't done anything English speaking.
And apparently Robert Rodriguez was using this to get material for her demo reel so that he could cast her in something else or get her cast in something else.
For Desperado. He wanted her for Desperado, but they weren't going to approve her because she was an unproven talent. So he had to put her in this first so he could say, look what she can do.
He's really forward thinking. He's already casting his next movie with this movie.
Well, I think it was in pre-production or something, or it had already been approved, but he was still obviously casting it.
In that book, he describes how he's working on 5 projects at once. He's writing his part for the movie 4 Rooms. He's also working on a script for something else, and then Desperado. He's just all over the place. I guess he said that he slept for about 2 weeks after getting done with this movie because they had to just bang, 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 shoot it. And he was even relieved because of the earthquake. The Northridge earthquake happened and gave them half a day off while they coped with that. They got some rest.
Well, all these episodes, because it was television, was done basically with a television budget. It was upped a little because we were working with a 90-minute runtime.
Yeah, I think that was like $1 million each.
1.3 million is what these had.
So they're under these constraints, but every director has final script approval on everything they do, a final cut. So there was freedom and also constraint that they had to work with. So this is an interesting result as far as I'm concerned.
It was nice that there was a little Easter egg in there at the movie theater with all the posters that weren't from Republic Studios and were from AIP.
It's a little nod. I wonder if the other movies are going to do that. A little throwback to the AIP roots. I hope so. I love seeing that.
So Cheryl, are you ready to give a rating to this first episode of Rebel Highway? Using our regular AIP scale where A is awesome, I is intermediate, and P is pathetic?
Yeah, sure. I think it's pretty obvious that I enjoy this movie. It's an easy A. There's violence in it, and I don't normally go for violence, but something about Rodriguez's style of violence that really appeals to me. It's kind of fun violence, if that's a thing, where you enjoy seeing people get their comeuppance, even when it's gruesome and bloody or fiery even. It's fun to watch, and this movie was a hoot. As one reviewer said, I wasn't really sure how these episodes were going to be. We normally do these older movies, and now this is, it's 30-some years ago. But for us, it's sort of a great leap forward to come from the 50s, 60s, 70s into 1994, which is a year that I actually remember. And I think my apprehension might have been misplaced because this actually was a really fun movie and really enjoyable. And I'm really glad that the AIP podcast got to watch something from a more modern era. Easy A. What do you think?
I'm going to agree. I think the Rebel Highway experiment, the idea of it is just so much fun. Let's take these titles of these old movies. Let's use what we know today, but do a throwback film. I think it's a great idea. It's been 30 years later. I'd like to see somebody try that again. Having seen many of those old movies, I don't know that Roadracers is one that I particularly would have been jumping at the chance to remake, but this was in all ways superior to the original. And as we're going through these, we'll see that the directors that participated in the Rebel Highway project were all established much more so than Robert Rodriguez was at this time, because he had done one feature.
Not even a major studio feature.
An independent feature shot in Mexico for a $7,000 budget.
So I can see why he'd be excited to play with $1.3 million.
And why it would be hard to adjust to working with a crew, because he hadn't really done that before. His original book that he wrote on the experience is called Rebel Without a Crew. I've long been an admirer of Robert Rodriguez's work, but this is one that eluded me. I'd never seen this one before. And just knowing that it came so early in his career and how good it looks is just amazing. It doesn't look like it's made for TV at all. This looks like a movie.
Yeah, this is a film.
I think the acting's all very good. Like I said, the one problem I had was Teddy Leather's hair.
Not his name?
No, I think his name was fun. I'm just sorry they didn't refer to Sergeant Leather.
That is a whole different Village People character.
But I have to give this one an A2. There's no other grade that I could possibly give it. This is an awesome movie.
Very awesome. Find it and watch it. And find our website. The American International Podcast website is AIPpod.com. And there you can find out a little more about the Rebel Highway series and the episodes that we cover on it, as well as our previous 100+ episodes. There we've got trailers, posters, lobby cards, other movie paraphernalia that is visual and not audio related, links to all our episodes, and a way to contact us and let us know what you think of Rebel Highway and their various episodes or the other movies that we've covered, or ask us questions or make demands. It's AIPpod.com.
I think that will be it until the next episode of Rebel Highway. I'm Jeff Markin.
I'm Cheryl Lightfoot.
And we'll meet you at the drive-in. Follow the American International Podcast on Instagram and Letterboxd at AIP_pod and on Facebook at facebook.com/American International Podcast.
The American International Podcast is produced and edited by Jeff Markin.
A man whose mind is distorted by hatred.
And Cheryl Lightfoot.
A girl hungry for too many things.
The American International Podcast is part of the Pop Culture Entertainment Network.